to Maths with Mrs. Hammond. Today we're looking at finding LCM. That's the lowest common multiple. It's a 4-part series. Today's session is going to be looking at using the listing method. Okay, the listing method. Just before I carry on, please hit the like button and subscribe to this channel for more beautiful sessions that would help you become a lot better in your maths knowledge. Okay, so let's just get on with what we want to do. Let's just carry on. Now you're going to learn how to find the LCM of 2 or more values using 4 methods. I'm talking about the listing multiples method, the prime factorization method, the Venn diagram, and the division method. Now, of all of these methods, now the most popular are the listing multiple methods and the Venn diagram method. Now, prime factorization is really super easy, and I'm going to break that down, and of course you're going to get it after watching this video. And then the division method is like an archaic method, but I'm pretty sure you're going to grasp it once we go through on this channel. Okay, that's what we aim to do. We aim to break down math concepts for you to understand in a very simple way. So again, if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Now let's get started. Now, just before you begin to just before you attempt to find the LCM of any numbers, okay, any group of numbers, 2, 3 numbers, the certain skills you need to have. You need to know how to know your times table up to 12 and understand what multiples are. You also need to be able to write a number as the product of its prime factors. Now, if you have a problem with this, if you struggle to do this, then you need to watch out for our videos on finding the prime factor of numbers. But before we get into that particular method, there's an example, there's a sample for you to work with before we go on, because again, Maths with Mrs. Hammond is about helping you understand pivotal mathematical concepts in very simple ways. And you also need to have a basic knowledge of the Venn diagram. Yes, those 2 or 3 circles that are core in a rectangle, the Venn diagram. Okay, so what are factors and multiples? LCM, the lowest common multiple. When you think of LCM, you think of your multiples. Now, oftentimes students confuse the factors with multiples. Okay, nothing to worry about. We'll clarify that right now. As you can see now, you have 5 times 4 equals 20. Now, 20 is a multiple of 4. And it's also a multiple of 5. Now 4 and 5 on the other hand are factors of 20. So in your times table, the 2 numbers with the multiplication sign in between them on the left hand side of your times table are the factors, and then the larger numbers on the right are the multiples. So the larger numbers are multiples of the numbers on the left, and then the 2 numbers on the left are factors of the number on the right. Very simple. Okay, and a multiple is simply a number that is divisible by another number without a remainder. Now the concept of divisibility is that you can divide 20 by 4 without a remainder. Now 20 divided by 4 gives you 5, no remainder. 20 divided by 5 gives you 4 with no remainder. It therefore means that 20 is divisible by 5 and 4 amongst other numbers. All right, these are not the only factors of 20. There are other factors of 20, but today we're just looking at 5 and 4 to understand the concept of factors and multiples. So when you're thinking of LCM, you're actually looking at the numbers on the right hand side of your times table. I guess that's clear now. And you need to also know that 20 can be written as a product of its prime factors. What do I mean by that? It means you can break 20 down into just prime factors multiplied together to give you back 20. And 20 is a product of 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 5. 2 and 5 are prime factors. Now some people might wonder, why don't I have 1? Now 1 is not a prime factor. It's not a prime number. But 2 is a prime factor. It's the smallest prime factor we have. So 20 is a product of 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 5. Let's just go on straight to the listing method. Okay, that's the first part. That's our very first go-to method. Now, listing the multiples method. Now, to find the LCM of 8 and 12, the first thing I'm going to do is list the multiples of 8 and 12. So the multiples of 8 are 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, 64, 72, and 8. Now, these are not all the multiples of 8. I've just listed the first 10 multiples because this should more than cover what we need, really, you know. And actually, if I list the first 5 multiples, that should more than do for what we want to do, what we want to find today. But for good measure, I've listed up to the first 10 multiples. Now, let's go on to the multiples of 12. Also, the first 10 multiples of 12. Now, remember the LCM stands for the lowest common multiple. So we have listed the multiples of 8 and 12 up until multiple number 1 till multiple number 10. Now, let's have a look at the common numbers, the common multiples among of the two lists that we have. Common multiples. There you have it. Now, I'd like to say at this point that multiples are limitless. I'm sure you pretty much got that from my previous statement, that multiples are limitless. If you carry on multiplying 8 and 12 by numbers like 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and so on and so forth, you will come across multiples. And of course, there will be common multiples. But this will more than do, because what we want is of all of the limitless multiples 8 and 12 share, we want the lowest. So there really isn't a need for you to carry on, you know, listing out all the multiples. So what we have will more than do. So now let's just list out the multiples we have identified. Now we've identified 24, 48 and 72. Now of all these 3 multiples, 24 happens to be the lowest. So there you have it. So the lowest common multiple of 8 and 12 is 24. Very simple. Now, if you'd like to go over this, you could pause the video at this point, go over this example, because I've got one for you to do. So here's your example. Pause the video and try this question. Yes, so first things first, list the first 5 or 10 multiples. I'll go with the first 10 multiples because that will, just for good measure, really. So first 10 multiples of 6, there you have it, 6 till 60. First 10 multiples of 10, 10 till 100. Now, list the common multiples. Again, if you carry on to the 11th, 12th, 13th multiples of 6 and 10, you will come across other common multiples, but this is more than enough. Okay, again, we're looking at for the lowest of all the common multiples, so there really isn't a need to carry on listing all the multiples. So the common ones we have highlighted here from the list of the first 10 are 30 and 60, and of course 30 is the lowest of all the common multiples. So the LCM of 6 and 10 is 30. Now let's just go on and challenge ourselves and have a look at finding the LCM of 3 numbers using the listing method. So I've got 6, 8 and 12. Now I would like you to pause the video and attempt this yourself, and then let's see how far you go with it. Okay, again, the same concept. Find the first 10 multiples of 6, 8 and 12. The common multiples. Now you need to be really careful here, very careful here. And of course we have 24 and 48. These are not the only common multiples 6, 8 and 12 share. If we carry on listing all the other multiples, we will come across other common ones, but they will be unnecessary for this problem. So the lowest of all the common multiples 6, 8 and 12 will ever share is 24. So the LCM of 6, 8 and 12 is 24. Okay, here's an example for you. Okay, so first 10 multiples 3, 6 and 10, the common multiples. And now again, if we carried on with the 11th, 12th, 13th multiple of 3, 6 and 10, we will come across other common multiples, but they will be unnecessary, absolutely unnecessary, because again, we're looking out for the lowest, that's the smallest of all the common multiples, and the answer is 30. Now, if you find that you've listed the first 10 multiples as I've done here, and you can find just one common multiple, that's okay, so long as you have thoroughly looked through your collection of numbers. That's okay. You do not need to have 2, 3, or 4 common multiples. Okay, just finding one common multiple is enough for you to solve the problem. Now, on the final note, a misconception here. Now, the LCM is not the same as the product of the numbers given. For example, the LCM of 3, 6, and 10 isn't 180, because 3 times 6 is 18. 18 times 10 is 180. That's not what LCM is. Of course, sometimes the LCM is simply of two numbers is simply the same as the product. For example, the LCM of 5 and 7 is 35. And 35 also happens to be the product of 5 and 7, but in this case it's not. So please do not confuse that. I often find students just multiply the numbers they're told to find the LCM of. That's not it. That's a misconception. You need to list the multiples as we've done here, and of course find the common ones, and of the common ones find the lowest. So that's it today on Maths with Mrs. Hammond. Please do remember to subscribe to this channel, hit the like button, tell your friends about this channel, and watch out for more exciting videos on Maths with Mrs. Hammond. Bye for now.